Hey, Tom here, FlipAnythingUSA. Been a real estate investor for 41 years. Made a lot of money doing it. I started at 19. I bought my first property, and I was a millionaire by 27. That's back in the 80s. And I just don't know a bigger or better way to get wealthy quicker than real estate. It's been really good to me. I've got pretty good sized family. I write checks for cars, checks for tuition, and buildings and houses now. It's been a really, really great life, and I like sharing it. I have a mentorship at FlipAnythingUSA.com. I urge you to take a look at that. I've got tremendous success with my students. I got students that have become millionaires in a very short time. But today I want to build a list. I'm probably reaching people I don't normally reach, because most people that watch me work, they go to bed by now. And if you got something, if you want to call in, call in. You got a question about real estate, I'll answer anything that you ask me, or at least to the best of my ability. I bought just about every kind of property you can imagine, and I'll be back in a minute.
It's the best thing I ever did. Woo!
So if you just got here, I've got this book, Wake Up and Smell the Real Estate. It's been a bestseller on Amazon, Audible, and Kindle. I guarantee it's one of the best books you'll buy. Take a look at the reviews. It's all real. I know, because that's how I became very wealthy. If you're an investor, maybe you've been investing for 20, 30 years, you take a look at the reviews. I've got agents, I've got investors that are in my class, people that have been investing for 20, 30 years, and they'll tell you that they didn't realize they could learn so much. I've been a very assertive investor my whole life. I started at 19, came from very modest means, so I had every motivation to become wealthy, coming from a family that we were on welfare and that sort of thing. And I know very well the taste of powdered milk, and like some of you watching, I'm sure, do as well. That'll snap you out of wanting to ever get anywhere near welfare again. I've had the free lunches in school. I've had the hand-me-down clothes and all the crappy stuff that goes with that. But I had a great life, had a great dad, hardworking folks. And I got a mother with dementia now, and even though she can't remember anything past 2017, she can be a lot of fun, but you can imagine the complications that come with that. Also, hey, please hit that subscribe button while you're here. Really, if you would, subscribe, and I promise you, I'll never mislead you or lie to you. There's a lot of fake gurus out there. In fact, I was just talking to somebody earlier. I've got an interview coming with a guy that invested a couple $100,000 with Grant Cardone, so I just finished that interview earlier today, and I think you'll find that really interesting. Those of you that are thinking about doing such a thing, I don't advise it, and neither does this gentleman. So that'll be kind of interesting. I got the chat open here. I see somebody's in here. Tom, what are your thoughts on building a Section 8 single-family housing portfolio, 50 to 80K homes, $50,000 to $80,000 individual homes in a medium-sized market? It sounds like a good price point, to be quite honest. For a while you could get, let's see, this has been a while. I'm not a big fan of Section 8. I have Section 8, or I have had a couple Section 8 properties. Ben Mall has done real well with Section 8. I'm just not a fan of the crowd that rents them, to be quite honest. I lived out in a desert community, and it was just booming and going like crazy. This is in the 80s, and at different times, and it went from feast to famine. And now that's got a bigger crime rate than Compton. That's Lancaster, California. In fact, I'll show you my new backdrop here, by the way. Okay, I'm a fan. That's actually a classic four-wheel drive. One of my students actually took a look at it. In the mentorship, actually, I got the best students. I got the best and brightest students you ever met, for sure. And I don't let just anybody in, by the way. People that want to get in, it's not a given that you're going to get in, but you can fill out the mentorship survey, and I urge you to do so. It's a great way to, if you can get in, you'll be glad you did. You'll be among the best and brightest students, and like I say, you can see the testimonials. I got really, really great students. So one of the things I was going to do, let me jump to this background here real quick. In this backdrop that you see behind me, every house that you see, or every building, or every piece of land, or every whatever you see, these are all properties that I personally negotiated. Some of these go back 30-something years. Others are recent. I probably bought $12 million worth of property, I think, in the last 14 months. And, if you got an interest in real estate, you should. There's not a quicker, better way to get wealthy. You think about what the banks will loan on. Well, I can't think of anything but real estate that the banks will loan you 90% of the value and give you a 30-year mortgage. Nothing else really qualifies because they know that historically it goes up. Anyways, so yeah, on the like I say, on the Section 8 housing, you could buy a trailer in a trailer park, and you could get like $1,200 a month, and that was like 15 years ago. And you could, they pay well, they escalate. If you request, you can get an escalation with the, in other words, they kind of keep up with inflation. They'll raise the rents accordingly, and you're the recipient of the rents. I haven't done that much Section 8, like I say, a lot of the clientele is just, it's not that anybody's bad. There's some good ones, for sure, but just not ideal. So out there, is there anybody out there that you follow right now, or that sometimes you look at you'll hear somebody talking, and you're like, even like the guy that I was talking to today, a real bright guy, and although he was not so bright at one time, he'll tell you that himself, but something doesn't smell right. In other words, you're looking at him, and you're going, this doesn't really make sense, or something doesn't feel right. And usually that's, your gut telling you that there's something wrong. Oh, hey, Russ, glad to see you in here, buddy. Land cap. Hi, Tom, at 40 with a full-time job, family to feed, etc. What is the best way to get started building wealth in real estate? Well, number one, that's a good question, and one is get started. But a lot of people, listen, what you don't want to do is get started without having a knowledge base, right? And really, to be honest, the easiest way is to have a good mentor. And now finding a good mentor, now that's tough. Now, I'm a great mentor. I know I am. In fact, Russ here, I think he'd tell you I'm a pretty good mentor too. But yeah, and Robert Richards, I don't know if you're in my class or not, but yeah, Section 8s, like I say, he says, he wrote no Section 8s for me, I'll just flip properties. But back to your question, it's a good question. Look, you got to know value, okay? This is just the bottom line. You have to know value. If you know value, you can make a fortune in this business, okay? And believe me, you have to be very quick to react, and the only way you can really be quick to react is to know value. So in other words, I'll give you a perfect example. This is one I blew it on a long time ago. I was in Hermosa Beach. I was looking for a beach house. I'd already was a millionaire. I was a millionaire. I sold my company. I had a cabinet shop, just a little shop that I started when I was 19 years old, which actually led to my very first purchase. And anyway, I'm driving down Ocean Drive, and I'm writing down numbers on for sale signs and this, that, and the other thing. And all of a sudden, this kid sticks his head out of the window at the house next door. And he said, "Hey, don't buy that place." He said, "Buy this one." And I go, "Oh, really? It's for sale?" He says, "Yeah." And he goes, "My mom's selling." I go, "What's her number?" And he gives me the number, and I write it down. And I had just begun looking for property in this area, but this really illustrates the worst nightmare and the mistake that can be made by not being prepared. So he gives me your number, and I write it down, and I had just started looking. I didn't have the knowledge that I needed. I didn't know what values were worth in that very moment, and I just started looking. And I said, "Well, what the hell?" So I called her and I said, "Hey, what do you want for the house? Your son said it was for sale." She said, and she lived in Bell Canyon, which is really an exclusive, expensive area. She had money. I knew that just by the Bell Canyon. She said, you know what? She said, I'll tell you what, I'll take $250,000, give me $50,000 down. I'll carry it at, probably back then, probably 9% interest. That was a steal, but I didn't know it at the moment. So I'm checking, I'm writing, getting all the lists and going through the properties. And of course, I'm busy like you, right? Like you just said. You've got kids. I was building a business. I didn't have any kids, but I was building a business, and I had bought a lot of property. I'd flipped a bunch, but I was in complete new territory. My plan was, I just sold the company. I thought, you know what? I'm going to buy a beach house. I'm going to live at the beach, and this will be awesome. Anyways, so I tell her, I said, okay, I'll get right back with you. I'll get back with you in a day or two. She says, okay, fine. And there's no for sale sign on it, so I didn't feel the pinch. And I should have been on it like that. I just should have been on it immediately. But I wasted a couple days, and then I realized, holy shit, this place is worth $450,000. So I called her and I said, hey, I'm heading to your place right now. Let's talk. And she said, and I'll never forget this, by the way, never forget this. She said, he who hesitates gets left at the starting gate. And my heart just fell. And she continued on. She said, I just talked to a real estate agent, and he told me that if he couldn't sell my house for $420,000, he would buy it himself. And that was the end of that conversation. And she was right. It was worth, so, now granted, I was already a millionaire, but losing out on $150,000 and being able to have a beach house, because that was part of my plan. I could have paid cash for the damn thing at the time. Was heartbreaking. But that could have been you. That could have been anybody. That could have been anybody in that situation that had a little more knowledge than I did. And of course, this is when I was, I already made some money, but I hesitated, and I should have jumped on it. So it was terribly painful. Hey, those of you that are here just coming in, I see that some people are popping in here. Please hit that subscribe. I promise you I never mislead you. Talking about making money in real estate. So Robert just wrote here. Does that answer your question, by the way, Land Cap? Get my book. Look, if you don't have my book, get my book. This would be the easiest way to begin. And Russ here's a knockout. This guy, Russ is already a bright guy. He's 29 years old. That's one of the reasons I let him in the class, is because he was sharp and smart. But since he's been in the class, and believe me, we've spent a lot of time together. Believe me, I consider your deals like my own. I just fight tooth and nail. I want to make them happen. I'll do anything I can to help you make them happen. And but Russ has been fantastic. He just actually made the whole class envious. Russ just made a deal where he probably has a property that conservatively is worth about $1.2 million to $1.4 million for sure. And he bought it for $350. He's got about $80 to put in it. So roughly, just say he's got $450 in this thing total. He's already got it pre-leased for $14,000 a month. You do the numbers on that, do the math on that, and you've got a property that's easily worth $1.2 million too. 3 percentage points ago, it would have been worth $1.7 million, because the interest rate goes up, it affects values. But he made a knockout, and that's the kind of stuff that you want. So yeah, Land Cap, yeah, thanks, buddy. I appreciate the question. Anybody wants to call in that number and let's talk. I'm open book. In fact, it's funny. I've got this new background that you see behind me here, and this background, it actually distracts me. By the way, I've got a weekly webinar, and you can see in the corner it says free weekly webinar. You go down to the links below. You go to FlipAnythingUSA.com. And you'll see up in the right corner, it says webinar. Click on that, and you can just fill out the form. It's just like your name and email, and you can sign up for it. I'll send you a Zoom link. When we go live, you get a link. You'll be able to come in. You can ask me any question you want, but mainly what I want to do is address questions like you just asked. Any question you have on any kind of property, I'm happy to address it. I've owned apartment buildings. In fact, all these properties you see behind me, I've owned at one time or another, or I still own today. And people say, well, why would you sell a nice building like that? Well, to buy a bigger, nicer one. That's why. And I look at these and it just brings back memories. Some I have to do a double take. That one was a $20,000 assignment fee, which you guys would call wholesaling. That was a hardware store that went out of business. Anyways, so Robert wrote, renter. Let's see, renter have too many rights and loans. Yeah. Look, Robert. I mean, I don't disagree with that statement completely, but the fact is that is not 100% true. What you really would like to probably get to eventually, and it doesn't sound like you're there yet, is probably get to owning commercial properties. When you have a commercial property or a good commercial asset, you'll get usually a higher end, a more financially substantial tenant. And look, rents are like stocks. When you have a rent and you negotiate a rent, you're kind of like betting on the market. Like when you buy a stock, right? You buy a stock, and you're betting that it's going to go up, or maybe you short it because you think it's going to fall. Well, that's rents. You negotiate a lease. Now, it's a given if the tenant is not very strong. In other words, I'm not going to sue a tenant. If a tenant goes out of business and they don't have anything, I'm not going to sue them. I'm not going to go after them. You can't squeeze blood out of a turnip, as they say. You just want them to go away. And that's one of the things, one of the reasons I love industrial, commercial properties and that sort of thing, is because they do go away. So Gerson Flores just wrote, I just bought the book last week. It's impressive. Thank you. I appreciate that, Gerson. Look, I got nothing to hide. I've been doing this a long time, and what I want my legacy, I don't want it to be that guy's a ripoff, that guy's a liar, that guy's a scammer, that guy's a fake guru. That ain't going to be my legacy. I have done everything that I say I've done. The book is full of stuff that I've done. This little house here, that's one I bought. I called that the 3-day deal. Yeah, listen, Robert, I left California years ago, but I made my first $1 million in California. And I'll tell you what, I don't think there's a better state for weather. I love California. I mean, I love the weather. The government's going to shit everywhere, but the weather is beautiful. I mean, I've literally laid in the sun on the beach in sunny California and gone up to the snow the same day. There's just nothing like it. It's got fantastic. It's just got the most fantastic atmosphere there is. It's got beautiful mountains. It's got cool deserts. It's got the beach. It's got great skiing. I love Mammoth. It's got everything in California. It really is one of the, in fact, I like going to California in the summer because it's nice and cool compared to Texas. It doesn't matter how hot it is in California. Every morning it's cool. You need a windbreaker in the morning. Heats up. Sun goes down, you need a windbreaker again. It's a beautiful thing. Russ, you still there? Russ wrote, Tom is the real deal, great mentor. He is extremely knowledgeable. Thanks, Russ. I appreciate that. And I might have to read that twice. Look, we are building our crowd here. If you just got here, please hit that subscribe button. I do a weekly webinar now. And it's not all this bullshit. I hear these guys, I got 60 more seats left. I got only 3 more deals I'm handing out or whatever. And I mean, they got it's electronic information that they're handing out. There is no limitation. Seats. It's so silly. So Russ, when do you expect your tenant to move in? Because you're probably getting pretty close. Are you going to stuck with that, or what are you doing on the exterior? I saw the Tyvek. Also, by the way, I'm a general contractor, also a C6. I have a C6 millwork license, and all that stuff's expired. Don't need it anymore. I built that building that you see behind me. I built that building about 20 years ago. That's fantastic. I bring in about $326,000 a year from that building. I still own that building that's behind me right there. And I just say this to share with you because you might see the kind of properties that you might have a question about. That's an industrial, what I call a flex property. That's actually a school right there. That's a fantastic deal I got on that. I still own that one too. What else? So Garrison, do you own any property? Okay, Russ says he's going to have his tenants in March. Oh Oh, channel siding. Ah, nice. Oh, you didn't get pre-painted channel siding? Or are you talking about painting? You're going to probably see, that's a little, I still own that. That's a strip center I own. That's about a 20,000 square foot strip center. I still own that building too. Okay, check this out. That's coming up. You know that, did you get the metal siding? Because you can get wood grain, you can get all kinds. The materials are fantastic anymore. They really are. Oh, you're going to be painting it. That's interesting. So you've already got it up. You'll see. In fact, it'll probably pop up here. That's an apartment building. I flipped it right there behind us. But I love that. I love that stuff. They have different colors already pre-painted. They have wood texture and different things that are pretty amazing. But some are heavier than other. Oh, fiber cement? Oh, interesting. Fiber cement with metal channels. Well, I like the idea that it's a metal surface. Is it metal? Or is it, if it's cement, it'll still last. You know, I've seen some of the newer materials that we thought were going to last forever start breaking down. I'm talking about the faux wood decking. So, come on, anybody else here? Anybody else? What do they got in real estate? You'd like to own a strip mall? Yeah, I agree. You should, Robert. The strip malls are wonderful. In fact, let me see if I can give me a second here. We can talk about strip malls. I love strip malls. Also, hey, any fake gurus or anybody you want me to review, that's kind of the purpose of this call tonight. I want to see if there's anybody you'd like me to review. Somebody said Pace Morby. I was actually looking at I watched a little bit of a Pace Morby. I still don't know what to think. I don't know what he sells, but he was talking about LLCs, and I'm going to do a video on Pace Morby for sure. And I'm not saying he's a fake guru. I talk about people that are real and good, as well as people that are phony baloney. No, I don't think so, Landcap. No. Landcap wrote, better to focus on one property type and strategy or to be a generalist. Well, neither is exactly true. The more talent you got, meaning the greater your knowledge base that you get, the more versatile you can be. Listen, I am always looking for commercial strip centers. I love the properties. I love commercial buildings. And I love industrial buildings too. But there's way more houses than there is anything else. There's way more houses. And so what happens is no matter how much I look for, strip centers and whatever, larger buildings of a sort for industry, what'll happen is I'll find, it's just, I'm looking at everything all the time, but I can always find more houses than I can commercial buildings. And so what'll happen sometimes is, let's just say I have a few $1 million, and I want to buy something somewhere between $5 and $8 million in a commercial center, something like that. What'll happen is while I'm looking and searching and trying to find those things, I'll buy maybe 10 houses, and I pay cash for my houses. So now most of my cash gets depleted buying those houses. Then something good will come along. Well, I have a lot of equity, but it's usually I like to do reverse 1031s, which I did a video on that if you don't know what that is. But so what'll happen is there's more opportunities with houses to make single flips, just to flip and make money, and land too. I've done a lot of land. I made millions of dollars on even on a single piece of land. I've made $1 million. That's building you see behind me right there. I bought that when I was 19 years old. That's a 5,900 square foot commercial industrial building. So let's see. Yes, but get the book. Get the book. Seriously, here's the book. Save yourself some time and grief. Seriously, get that, and then get in the mentorship if you can afford it. It'll serve you well. Like I said, Russ here is you'll be in great company. I got Russ and Liam, and actually, let me bring this up. And I'm going to get to your question here. Chad says, let me get to that, Chad, in 1 second. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe. I need to enjoy this channel. The number one comment I get is, why don't you have 1 million followers? And it's because I kind of suck as a host. Let's see. Okay, display. Oh my God, I did it. All right. So, look, of course, you can go onto LoopNet. You can find properties in Google Earth, and we can look at some of this. I was actually putting clips together. This actually, just for the hell of it, check it out. I bought that house when I was 25 years old right here. That is a cool place. And it was like the Brady Bunch house. It's a sad story, too, behind the people that I ended up buying it from. It was a divorce situation. Pretty sad. Isam says, I love your content. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. Oh, yeah. Well, call the number. Says, I have a question. Can we get on the phone? Yes. Yeah. Call right now. I'll talk to you for free. Listen, one of the reasons I even started a channel is because I helped so many people for free in the first few years that I was doing this. And then when my book came out, then way more popular, all of a sudden, way more calls, hundreds of emails a week. And unfortunately, about 20% of the same questions over and over again. And so I really got exhausted cutting and pasting the same answers to people and sticking their name in it. And so that's when I started the mentorship. And I just figured, you know what, ask me a question publicly like this, and I'm happy to answer it because everybody gets the benefit of the answer. So I'm going to take a call here. Anybody else wants to jump in? If I see somebody else jump in, I'll push through the first one quicker. And let's check it out here. Somebody just called. All right. We got somebody on the line.
Hey, Tom. How you doing?
Hey, very good. Is this Isam?
Yes, it's Sam. First of all, I really love your content. I read your book and I listened to it a couple times. I have a couple questions. I just don't want to take too much time from you.
Well, if it's real estate related and everybody can benefit from it, I'll jump on it.
Amazing. Okay, so I'm 25 years old and I saved a lot of money and I'm really looking to buy something. I've been looking to get into real estate. I moved to America 5 years ago and I've been saving up to try to invest in something. And now I feel like I'm ready, but it's super hard to find deals. I'm trying to send letters. And I'm located in Los Angeles, California, and it seems like everything I find, when I do my numbers, like the mortgage is more expensive than the rent. So I don't know if you have any other tips.
Well, you're kind of talking more like a retail buyer, and that's what'll get you in trouble. You're 25 years old. How much money have you saved up? You've been here 5 years.
Okay, so far I have $300K in my bank account.
You have $300,000. You have $300K, and you're 25.
Yeah.
And you saved that, and you came here from another country.
Yes, I came from Palestine.
Wow.
I already bought a house last year. So first of all, I bought a little unit. I put 25% down. And then I sold it, and I moved my mom and my sister here, and then I bought a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom with 25% down, little townhouse. And so far, I have some money in stock, and I have some money in gold, and like everything together will come up to like 600 if I would sell everything.
Holy crap. And so did you start with nothing? Listen, I'll tell you right now, I mean, you should be in the mentorship. Listen, if you got $600,000, and you're 25 years old, did you earn it or did you inherit it or you know what I mean? I'm always
I earned everything.
You earned every bit.
Yeah,
of it.
I used to live with my dad. We rented a room when we first moved here. And I was doing a little handyman, cleaning people's rain gutters.
So did you make this
like
wealth, the wealth that you did create, did you create it from working or did you create it from real estate?
From working. I always wanted to get into real estate, but when I made the money, the market was way too hard for me to find the deal.
Yeah, well, listen, you just don't know. I mean, listen, it's the typical thing. When you don't know how to do something, you don't know how to do something. But listen, if you've got you're 25 and you've already earned. What do you do that you earn? Five. Let me tell you what. Most people come here from another country. If they don't come from a wealthy country or bring a lot of cash with them, it's usually quite tough. And I'm always impressed with immigrants that save so much. I've got a kid from Salvador. He saved $50,000. He makes about $15 an hour, but he works 7 days a week. It's impressive. And anyways, so. But it sounds like whatever you do, you know how to make money. You know how to make money, I don't know, with your hands or your brain or however you're doing it, but that's fantastic in itself. But no, listen, you can make money anywhere, and you just got to have a the broader your knowledge base is, the better off you are. That's why I say I buy houses, not because I necessarily want houses. I'm always looking for bigger, better buildings. That's what I really want. But what happens is that there's just more houses than anything else, and there's more land than anything else. So I'll buy land and I'll buy houses, and then I buy buildings when I can, when those opportunities come up. I've got strip centers, I've got industrial buildings, I've got the stuff that I like. I've got quite a few houses, but the houses, of course, I was dumping most of the houses. I never hold houses for very long. Listen. Houses have a short shelf life. You make your money on the purchase. So if you buy something that's worth $300,000, you pay $200 for it, you flip it, you get rid of it. And this is one of the reasons I'm probably a really relevant mentor for the people that are watching right now, because I continue to buy properties that are affordable to most people. I bought a property not long ago for $80,000 that was worth $350. Just all kinds of stuff. Houses, little commercial buildings. I flipped things. I just bought a strip center for $2.8 million. It's probably worth closer to $4 million. That's one I just bought within a year, I think, or not, maybe just over a year. I'm going to go to some of these other questions here, but listen, come into the webinar. You see the webinar there. Go to FlipAnythingUSA and click on the webinar. There's a link below. Click on that link and get in the webinar. If you fill out the mentorship survey, if you want to get in, I'll assess the information that you give me, and I'll have a quick chat with you, and I'll tell you if I'll either approve you or not to be in the class. But you sound like a sharp guy. You should be in there, and you know what I mean? You certainly got the money. I won't let people in. If somebody tells me, hey, I've got $3,000 saved, I don't want to get in the class, I'll say, don't bother. Keep saving your money. I'm always impressed when people have the discipline to save without making very much money. That's a very important quality. So anyways, I'm going to go to some of these other questions, but Esam, I appreciate you. Somebody else call in, please, and we'll take that question.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
One last thing. I used to watch a lot of Meet Kevin and Grant Cardone. After I seen your channel, I do not even click on their videos. I love your content. Keep it up, and I will definitely join. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Esam. I appreciate the call and the comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Yep. All right. So I'll catch up here on some of the questions here. Oh, please interview Jerry Norton. Okay. I don't know if I can interview him, but I can review him. But I'd interview him. If you got any pull, I'll talk to him. A lot of people don't, let me just tell you something, and I'm not saying anything bad about Jerry Norton, although I kind of wonder, anytime I see somebody fraternizing with, Grant Cardone or Chris Crone, I think, what the hell's wrong? I know that those guys don't bring anything to the table as real estate investors. They just don't. The returns are piss poor that I've seen. The training, there's just nothing there that I've seen. Now, granted, I'll say this about Grant Cardone. Grant Cardone deserves a lot of credit for being a great motivator, and he's got some really good stuff for people that are hardworking sales people. If you're a sales guy, I can't absolutely recommend his stuff, but I'd say certainly buy his book and read his book. He has motivated people. People have told me that that Grant was great for motivating, made them do better at work in their sales. But where he fell short was if they invested with him, that's when they start to have the regrets. They're like, he's a great salesman, and that's what he helped me do, become a better salesman. But when he sold me on this investment crap or this fund, that's when they start to get a poor taste in their mouth. So I don't think he has much to offer in the form of investing, or I don't think he knows much about buying real estate other than buying it with other people's money. Chris Crone, same thing. So let me read some of these questions, and anybody wants to call in, the line is open. Justin Stanley, Chad, owner finance at least for a portion. Oh, he's answering somebody else here. Chad, let's see, Chad. Yeah, profit margins evaporated with 7% interest rates for entry-level homes. Yeah, Chad, if you're a retail buyer, that's probably true. But listen, I started with 10% interest rates in 1981. That's when I started. Look, I've got a book. This is full of notes from 1980s through early 90s. And these, every one of them is like 10% interest. And these are notes that I carried and some that I bought. I mean, when I bought properties, listen, it doesn't matter. You should make money on the purchase. It doesn't matter what the interest rate is. If you're buying it under market, if you're buying, listen, you can pay 20% interest if you're buying a property cheap enough under market. It's knowing how to find those deals is what's key, and that's what I mentor people with. And also, look, I'm a great negotiator. You'll learn a lot about negotiating from me. So let's see. And back to the question, is anybody you want me to review, you let me know, and I'd be interested. If you don't have my book, get my book. And let's see. Let me get through some of these questions here real quick. Justin's responding to Chad. He says, owner finance at least for a portion, then you can get a blended rate. It's all about the terms, not the price. Totally disagree. It's all about the price, not so much the terms. Totally disagree with you, Justin. Sorry about that. But that, to me, is nonsense. If you want to simply, and this kind of goes to the subject to crap, and I hate to call it crap, but listen, a lot of this subject to stuff is, I got a property that let me put it this way, and not that you can't make money with a subject to deal, but you're not going to make the really big bucks. I'm sure there's some exceptions to that, but subject to is like people that can't afford to pay their mortgage. A lot of times they're upside down, or it's just borderline. In other words, they got a mortgage, they qualified for a loan, maybe they paid too much for the property, or whatever down payment they put in evaporated when the interest rates went up, and now basically they got a property they can't get rid of. So who do you get rid of it to? Well, you can get rid of it to somebody that has lousy credit, that can't buy a home on their own. So that's not a great risk. Now the other thing is you're going to trigger an alienation clause, or you can trigger an alienation clause. And I'm going to do a good video on this. In fact, I'm going to do it on one of Pace Morby's, because listen, he was talking about how if they put it in a land trust, that it triggers the alienation clause. Of course it does. But anyways, listen, I bought so many properties in my name. Just my name. There's no problem buying a property in your name whatsoever. Now, a subject to is not buying a property. It's getting it deeded over to you. That's where it gets tricky. If you deed it over to somebody's new name, it's going to trigger the alienation clause. If you deed it over to an LLC or a limited partnership, that's not a red flag. I bought, I don't know, I don't want to exaggerate, but let's just say I bought at least 30 properties that I bought in my name, and then I've just deeded them to not some LLCs, but mostly limited partnerships, which is basically the same kind of instrument. It's a separate entity. It's kind of the same legal instrument. So that's okay, because it doesn't trigger anything. The banks understand that. My kids are my partners. My kids can't own real estate, or they can now, but my kids couldn't own real estate when I was a young man with a budding family because they were under 18. But they can own a percentage of a partnership or a LLC that owns a piece of real estate. So, So Justin, let's see, I'm going to keep going these questions here. So, I meant for buyers, so flipping a house right now is tough. Listen, everybody's a rock star in good times. Anybody can make money when things are good. This is when you separate the men from the boys, or the experienced from the inexperienced. And believe me, any YouTuber that I see that's only been doing this for 10 or 12 years, they've never seen a downturn. They don't even know. They've never manipulated one. So when they're talking about what to buy in a recession. Shit, they don't fucking know. They've never been through it. It's a joke. And you have to have the common sense to know that people can't know what they're talking about. You can't pull experience out of your ass. It just doesn't happen. I've been through 41 years of this stuff. I've seen ups and downs. I've made some mistakes. I've made some killings, but I've learned. But it takes time. So Patrick wrote, "Hey Tom, review the channel Flip with Rick." Flip with Rick. All right, I'm writing that one down. Okay, Flip with Rick. Let me see. Him and his son seem to have a solid advice. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. You know, that's wonderful. Chad wrote, "I agree. I meant buyer purchases power, so values are down. Make the profit on the purchase." Yeah, you always got to make it on the purchase. Yeah, you listen. Otherwise, you'll be selling your property subject to. Let's see. Ernie Estrada wrote, "Curious about high-rise buildings." Okay, I have not bought a high-rise building, but I did see a high-rise building. So I remember I was amused by it because it was in a place that was devastated, and it was a high-rise. I mean, it was probably a 40-story building or something like that. Anyways, it sold for $16 million, which was a fraction of what it cost to build. And what I remember about it was a husband and wife realtor that they got the listing and they sold it, and they got a huge commission because it was such an expensive property, and then they divorced immediately. They split the money and divorced. They finally had enough. They go, "Okay, great, we don't need each other." But that was a kind of a high riser. So no, I have not looked at high-rise buildings. Justin wrote, "Pace Morby just did a 2-hour interview with Graham Stephan, on his iced coffee hour. Even Graham wasn't buying what he was selling." Well, that's interesting. So look, I like Graham Stephan. I've picked apart Graham Stephan too a little bit. Graham Stephan, when he first came out, he didn't know that he didn't know. I mean, he to his credit, he bought a house, I think for, I don't know, 60, 80 grand or something like that. And he did all the right things, and just how a normal young person starts. And then he stumbled onto, became a realtor and started selling some pretty big properties. Graham deserves a lot of credit for being a hardworking kid. But then all of a sudden YouTube took over, and of course, he makes a fortune off of YouTube. He's really good at it. And he befriended, I think, Meet Kevin, and Kevin basically did the same thing. He was an agent, and both good personalities and both fantastic YouTubers, but not particularly impressive investors. I mean, they don't have any experience. Just changing the form of an asset, and whether you turn cash, you take your cash and you buy. If you got a lot of cash, you can buy a lot of property. If you earn a lot of money, you can buy a lot of property. It doesn't mean you know how to buy property. It just means you change the form of your asset. And so I've looked at the investment both those guys have made, and I like them both, but yeah, I wouldn't say they're qualified to teach anybody how to invest in real estate. I'm sure they have more experience than a few than some, but not so much. Too young, just too young. Haven't been through any of the tough stuff. But they, you know what? And it doesn't even make sense that at the pace of money that they make doing YouTube, they spend all their time doing it, and they should, because it makes so much money for them. I mean, if I made the money they made by just chatting like this, I'd probably just chat all the time. You know what I mean? And I'm older, right? I'm twice their age, so I've already made all my money. Not all, but I still continue to make money because I love it. It's easy. It's second nature to me, buying property, and I'm always abreast of the values because I commiserate. Not commiserate sometimes, but I'm always associating with people and networking with people. Not necessarily networking. Unfortunately, a lot of the fake gurus have ruined networking, mindset, and deal. Words I used to use that I no longer use so much because it's been ruined by the frauds. But yeah, I am going to do one on Pace Morby for sure, though. I got no reason. I don't know what he does. I don't know what he sells, okay? But he does talk about a lot of we, which sounds like a group, which I'm not, it's like Ryan Pineda said, "I bought 500 deals, and I don't know anything about construction, and I don't know." And again, 500 deals You bought 500 properties. You've been in real estate 5 or 7 years. Bullshit. I don't believe it. You're taking credit for other people's, or you're saying it's your team, and you're saying, oh, me and my team, me and my team. Well, you could go buy shares of Pepsi and say, me and my team built Pepsi. It's stretching it. Hey, please hit that subscribe button. And listen, if you don't have my book, please get my book. If you're interested in real estate, you should. I don't care if you buy it or not. I don't care. I make $7 on the book. I don't care. But if you want a really good mentor, go to FlipAnythingUSA.com, and I will give you the benefit of all my years' experience. And if you're lucky enough to get in the class, 'cause I don't accept everybody, you will be in fantastic company. You'll be in the company of millionaire students, okay? And these are real ones. And these are ones that in fact, check this out. You guys need to look at this. Really, really look at this. Let me change gears here. Go to Flip Anything. So this is my channel, Flip Anything USA. I can't even keep up with the testimonials, video interviews that I've been doing, because I have so many. I have so many more people to interview. But this gentleman here, this kid's done really great. He's 34 years old. He's made over $1.3 million now. And when I say $1.3 million, he's actually done 5 deals, and now he's sitting with about $1.7 million equity and $3 million worth of real estate. And all profits. I mean, he's got maybe a tiny bit of his own cash in there because he did the 1031s, which also I teach quite a bit about. Done reverse 1031s. Most people don't even know what that is. Mike just bought and sold 3 houses. I think I just did a 4th. This gentleman's been in real estate for 30 years. He's been very happy and impressed with the information shared, and he's just a great asset to the class. Ken, this is when he made his first $600,000. He's made about another, 500,000 since. So he's made over $1 million. He's got some nice commercial buildings that he bought for about half what they're worth, and that's what he came in to learn about, and that's what he learned about, and now he's just he's killing it. And then, oh my gosh, I'm getting tired here. God help me out. I feel embarrassed. I can't remember. It's not you. It's me. Anyway, she's made 70,000, and she's awesome. She really is very, very cool. She's a fitness trainer and a single mom. And Ron here's been a killer. He's bought 33 properties, got about $4 million worth of property, and only about $1 million worth of debt. Garrett was nice enough to send me his first check. They showed me a copy of his first check. He made $25,000 on a trailer. He jumped in. He's bought more property since. And listen, I bust my ass working hard for anybody that comes in the class. Eric here, he's a millionaire since being in the class right here. He sent a check. You have to watch this. Just these are interviews, by the way. These aren't just pictures. Listen to them. Watch them. Watch this. Flip Anything USA. Get in the mentorship if you can afford it. Liam here, $560,000 he's made so far. He made $360 on one deal, and believe me, I worked my ass off with Liam on that deal. I mean, he did just cruising along, and then he got into once in a while you get into a rough patch. Sometimes you may not hit a rough patch for 20 years, or a tough situation. He hit a tough situation early, made it even tougher for a lot of reasons, but he's a killer. He's been really, really great, and he's made $560,000, and I just really appreciate him. Steve here, he's made $1 million by his own reckoning. A mechanic and shop owner. He's he's a businessman, and he's gone through a few buildings that he's bought right, and that's why he got in. He's bought several buildings, and he's made over $1 million. That's a great interview too. Kai, a young guy, he's in, I think, IT of some sort, and but he's already bought a bunch of properties. Been very impressive, and like a lot of you, he watched me here, and I gave him some advice, and he felt, wow, that was great advice, and so he joined. And a lot of the same things happen with other people. So let's see. Ruben just wrote, Tom, I love your videos. Just an honest question. I want to take the mentorship. The price of the mentorship isn't even an issue, but why do you need even a mentor for money if you're a millionaire? Well, why does anybody want to make money? Let me put it this way. I don't like to waste my time. I call them time burglars. People that just want to kick the tires, or they want you to coddle them, carry them, feed them with a bottle. I ain't doing that. If anybody wants to make money, listen, I earn my money. I listen. The money I make, I lose money mentoring compared to what I make if I dedicate myself to just doing real estate. But this is the benefit of being wealthy, is you have choices. I could even be much wealthier than I am right now, but I've actually gone off and done. I've taken very, very big vacations with my kids. I took my daughters to school. Drove them to school myself, walked them in. I'd walk them into school for the first 9 years of their lives, and I've got 4 kids, and then same with my boys. And then 9 years later, I had my twin boys. Same thing. These are the benefits of being wealthy. You don't have to work. You can say, you know what, I don't need to do that, and I have all the choices I want. But so listen, you go make yourself, tens of millions of dollars, and if you want to give your time away, but believe me, I like success. And if you look at all these guys right here, none of these people are slouches. These guys work. These guys want to make money, and they whatever, they pass the test. When I talk to them, this is what I want. The last thing I want to do is say, here, listen, people actually have I should really is what I should do is triple the price. And I may, I've already, the mentorship has gone up 4 times since what I first charged from the very beginning. And it's worth 4 times what it is right now, or really way more than that even. And people do associate value with price. And that's why you see some of the biggest fake gurus, they'll take 10, 20,000, 30,000 from an individual. In fact, I've got people in my class that have spent over $10,000 with different individuals. I'm talking about for training. And they said, geez, Tom, you know way more than those guys. We've learned more from you in just, a few hours than they've learned from people that they've paid and spent a bunch of time with. Well, again, it's not just, I mean, I could throw you a book, throw you a pamphlet, I could write a book as thick as a phone book. But what you really need is you just need the fundamentals. And you learn a lot in the mentorship, that's not in the book. But that's like second level stuff, you know what I mean? So anyways, I hope that answers your question, Ruben. If you want to call it and talk about it, we can do that. Let's see. Please review Meet Kevin's new venture called House Hack. You know what? I might have to do that. I don't know. I haven't, I don't even know. I thought he had an app or something, right? He's got a fund, right? I don't even know what it is. Again, you can see how disinterested I am in most of this stuff. I love real estate and making money, and now what I enjoy, listen, nothing makes me happier than taking a guy that's 30, 40 years old, especially a 40-year-old guy. He's got some money, maybe he saved $100,000 or $500,000, but he realizes, shit, this ain't going to put my kids through school and retire me. It falls way short of what you need to really live comfortably. And so when somebody like that comes to me and they say, man, I want good guidance. It's like, okay, man, let's see what you got. Okay, you passed the test, fine. And I don't mind. It's wonderful to see a guy make his first $100,000 on a deal, or $300,000, or whatever they make, or even if it's 10 or 20,000. I get text all the time. Hey, I made 10 grand. I can't believe it. Thanks. Some of this is from people that just use the book. But my point is to see a man that has the pressures of thinking of putting his kids through school, wants to leave a better life for his kids than was left, than maybe what he lived. And he's frustrated in getting there because of the obstacles that come with, a poorly run, we got kind of not the best situation here in the USA right now. And to see somebody that makes more cash in 1 year than they've ever been able to save in the past 30 years, or the past 20 years of working all these years. And you know what I mean? In other words, they suddenly have more money than they've ever had in their lifetime, more cash than they've ever had in their lifetime. And it's because of a little guidance from somebody that's been doing it for years. It's a cool thing. Oh, so it's an investment fund. Yeah, Rockstep, I don't know. I like Kevin. I like Kevin. I've done some videos. I've been pretty critical on him at times. Again, it just kind of goes to the age thing. When people can be very confident because they've been successful maybe at one thing, and then they let that confidence carry over into, it gives them a false sense of confidence sometimes. So Kevin bought a lot of property, converted his his cash into real estate. One day I heard he sold it all. Then pretty soon, all of a sudden, all he did is talk about stocks. And then I know a lot of people were upset with him. Some people felt he let him off a cliff. But again, that's the problem. If you're following somebody that's making $5 million a year, and he's buying $1 million of this and $1 million of that, it looks cool, but is it a good investment? He can afford to lose $1 million a year or a couple $1 million a year. It ain't going to bother him. So that's the big thing. But hey, so listen, I've got on my list here. I got Jerry Norton, Grant Cardone, of course, Flip with Rick, Pace Morby. Who else? Anybody else? I was hoping for more names here. Meet Kevin, of course, I already know. I'll take a look at his fund. Let's see. Yeah, Meet Kevin has a tiger by the tail and is frantically trying to hold on to it. I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that, but to his credit, look, Kevin's got a great personality, and he's people like him. He's a likable guy, I don't know. I don't know what I'll just tell you something. Somebody told me a long time ago. A young guy says, "Man, if I just had $400,000, I could make so much money." He was upset because he had family or something. They wouldn't trust him with the $400,000. He was an agent, and I go, well, "Really?" I said, "Well, what experience do you have investing $400,000? Have you ever done it? Why do you think you can make so much money with $400,000 when you've never done it before?" He's like, and I kind of had him. And so basically, when anybody that's going to put money into a fund of any kind, and like I said, I don't know what Kevin's house hack thing is. I thought it was an app or something. But unless you have prior credits, you know what I mean? In other words, like if somebody's going to work on your house or do something for you, you're looking for a review. You're looking for referrals from people that they've done that for. You expect to have a history. Even like these guys that get in trouble in these funds say, "Oh yeah, we expect to have a 15% return." Well, they get in trouble when they go to court because the court says, "Why did you expect to have a 15% return? Why did you tell people that you expected a 15% return when you've never had a 15% return before?" These are the kinds of things that you have to look at as a consumer. When somebody tells you, like I tell you, I know you can become a millionaire. Okay, that doesn't mean you're going to become a millionaire, but I know you can be. And the reason I say that is because I have multiple people that have been in my mentorship that have made $1 million, realized cash profits like that. Others have realized equity. They bought right and rolled into different things, and they got over $1 million equity, or they flat made cash. And I have a track record to reflect on. I have my own track record of the money that I've made. I take you through all these different buildings and things that I own, and so in other words, anybody's got to be. They got to check that stuff out for themselves. So hey, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me tonight, and please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and I will review some of these folks you guys talked about, and we'll you can see, you see, you don't see me collaborate with anybody really. So many people turn out to be fake anyways that even at first glance might seem to be okay. I can tell you, there's CoffeeZilla is a good one. Coffee, it said the other day, he talks about Grant Cardone and talks about what a fraud and a scamster he is. Fraudster, he calls him different things. That's his opinion. It's hard to argue with a lot of it. He talks about this whole mentoring and these fun stuff that it's so scam filled. Like it's 90% scams or maybe worse. He said the industry is just polluted with scams. And he's right. It's terrible. It's terrible. So a guy like me, I just get lost in the myriad of the fakes. And so you're lucky you found me. I'm telling you right now, you're lucky you found me. Hit subscribe. I'll never lie to you. Get my book. And I think you'll realize pretty quickly that I'm the real deal. And there's not many people like me that can mentor people. It's just how it is. And I can say it with confidence because I do have a track record of great mentoring, but I also have a track record of great money making. And so I'm going to call it quits here for now, and I will leave you with this rap. Oh, Cody Sperber. I've heard that name before. In fact, I think somebody said he was doing something with Grant Cardone, which, of course, makes him suspect to me now. So, all right, I appreciate that. Oh, you took it off. How funny. Ernie put down Cody Sperber, and then he pulled the message. Too late, buddy. I already wrote it down. But he was already kind of on the map anyways. Hey, thanks, everybody, for watching. And, again, please hit subscribe. And I'll give you a reminder right here. And I appreciate it if you comment under the channel. That helps the algorithm. And these are the things I should have been asking for the last several years. Like I say, I don't have the biggest following, but I guarantee I've got the smartest following. So you're in good company if you're smart. And we'll see you guys later. And check this out, and we'll see you.
Stop and listen. Time is on a mission to eliminate all the snake oil and the fake gurus that fake y'all. He'll show you how to build an empire, starting with nothing but a desire. All you really need is a good mentor, not a used car bullshit. With time, you'll learn to crush it. Investing like Warren Buffett. With real estate, you cannot procrastinate. Everyone who hesitates is left at the starting gate. Hey, yo, so don't delay and join today. The mentorship and flip anything USA. Go.